St. Patrick's Day.
Joining us now from the Jackson Area Transportation Authority, Executive Director Mike Brown and Government and Community Relations Manager Pat O'Dowd. Good morning.
Morning. How are you guys doing today?
Great. Well, doing well.
And Pat might be familiar to some JTV viewers as one of our sports commentators.
That's right.
Pat?
Yeah, been doing that for 5 years. Certainly appreciate that opportunity.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Of course. So now you're in Jackson, back in Jackson, and Mike, we saw recently that you guys will be switching from Greyhound to Indian Trails. What does that mean for your customers and for the community?
Well, that took place already, March 1st. We're just still doing some logistic things right now as far as equipment and signage and things like that, but it already took place March 1st. Greyhound, Indian Trails buses are already coming through our station. So what it meant is that they took over the east and west corridor. They were only going north and south, and now they took over east and west corridor as well, what Greyhound was providing for us prior to them leaving.
So if someone were to take a bus trip to Des Moines and they got on Indian Trails here, then when they got to, say, Chicago, then they have to change to a Greyhound? Or how's it work?
The Indian Trails will be Indian Trails all the way through.
Oh, really?
Yes. They won't have to get on a different Greyhound bus or not. Now, they do partner with some other private contractors like Miller Bus and things like that, but there will be no Greyhound bus transfer in between or anything like that.
And Indian Trails, I think, is a Michigan-based company?
It is.
So that's good.
It is. Been around for a long time.
Pat, let's talk a little bit about Rides to Wellness. We've been familiar with that through JATA for a few years, but it's kind of exactly what it sounds. People who need transportation to, whether it's a doctor appointment or something like that, they can book a ride through JATA.
Yeah, yep. That'll give them the ability. We'll come and pick them up. Door-to-door service. Certainly a convenience for those that maybe are struggling with transportation or don't have access to safe and reliable transportation, or maybe their family members aren't able to take them to an appointment that day. That's a great service that they can take advantage of.
How does that work? Do you just call and
give them a call, right, Mike? They just call, and we've got 2 dispatchers that handle the Rides to Wellness program. They'll get them taken care of.
The program goes a little further than just rides, though, because it is a complete wellness program.
Okay.
So if they need to get to the pharmacy, if they need a store trip because their diet changed, so it's a little more intense than just our regular reserve ride service.
Yeah, and we're pretty lucky because I think there's only a couple or so places in the state that have a program like this.
Yes.
So take advantage of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Pretty cool.
So there's also the Reserve a Ride program, which is a little bit different than Rides to Wellness. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, Reserve a Ride. You can get a ride anywhere in the county, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, anywhere in the city, Monday through Saturday. And it's a little bit different than the bus service. It's available until 10 p.m.
Okay.
So a little bit of convenience. The bus routes, I think our last one runs at 6:05.
Yep, 6:15. Yeah.
6:15.
Okay.
So if you need a ride outside of those hours, and they're all handicap accessible.
Okay.
You can book a ride up to 2 weeks in advance. Simply call our office, and
Now you told me recently that you've taken the bus route and gone through the full route, things like that. So that was just in the city. Are you going to take like a trip to Louisiana and back to see how the long rides are, or maybe?
Probably not. Full disclosure, it was my first bus ride. I took the West Michigan route.
Okay.
And, it was a lot of fun. It was a very smooth ride, but I'm used to driving a vehicle.
Right.
And I think I got a little motion sickness going on.
You had to get used to it.
Great driving. Everybody wanted to know, well, who was the driver? It had nothing to do with the driver. It was an amazing, comfortable ride. But I just wasn't used to not being the driver, so I hopped off after a half hour.
And Mike,
most of the people that work at JATA, they also can drive a bus.
Yeah. Yep.
Are you going to learn?
Mike has told me I am not allowed to touch a bus. That was one of the first questions and first things we covered. Day one, Pat, stay away from the buses. You can ride them, don't drive them.
I'm curious about the Indian Trails thing. So is that giving us more options then? Do we have more routes or more place destinations or anything?
So that depends on Indian Trails, how they build their schedule. They did have to rebuild their entire schedule to add the east and west corridor in, though. So they have, I'm sure, added some routes, maybe lessened some routes. For us, it didn't change anything. It kept the same exact service that we had in place, and our customers could get there either way.
Yeah. Back to bus drivers, not just bus drivers, personalities and people who really connect with the customers, and it's part of their day, isn't it, Mike?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Customer service, number one. That's our goal.
Yeah, they're very friendly.
Yes, for
It's
sure.
very personable, and a lot of your drivers have been with you for decades.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, longevity is something that happens. I call it stick and stay. They just don't go anywhere.
Are there any frustrating points for your bus drivers that they see a lot, people out driving around like they shouldn't? What's the biggest thing that maybe drivers should be aware of when they see a city bus?
I guess I can speak on that. For the most part, is realize that the bus brakes are not as big as the bus. It takes 3 times the length of time for that thing to stop.
Okay.
And so people do a lot of cutoffs. They do a lot of hurry up and get in front of us and things of that nature.
Do you still have the cord?
No, we graduated. We got no push buttons.
Oh, it's really it's a lifeline for a lot of people. When I've taken trips, there's usually people on with supermarket bags and people with backpacks going to work. And,
they go to everywhere. Laundromat. We have customers, regular customers that get on and take their laundry to the laundromat and back and forth. Like you said, work, social, to the movies.
Yeah.
Just for a ride. That monthly pass gets you unlimited rides. Some people just want to go for a ride.
How much is a monthly pass?
It depends on your class.
Depends on-
If you're a
okay.
senior or disabled, then it's 27.
Wow.
A student is 45, and then I think it's 54 for an adult.
Wow, that's amazing.
yeah, and the individual rides you can just jump on one time, and
Keep on going.
Yeah.
the inner city too. All the bus routes locally, they drive with the inner city Indian Trails because they all start downtown at the transfer center.
That's correct. They can interact. They can get off the Indian Trails bus, hop on the transit bus,
Yeah.
go to the mall, get back, come back downtown. You can go back to Indian Trails and go right back where you came from.
What's the biggest thing you've learned so far in this industry?
Just the importance of public transportation.
Right.
One of the biggest obstacles for people just entering the workforce or maybe exiting the workforce around fixed incomes, their access to safe and reliable transportation is a leading indicator of whether they're going to be successful. So I've met with a lot of local businesses already who have employees that have entered into the workforce. Maybe they can't afford a car right now. So they have to rely on public transportation, and if they're ever going to advance through that entry-level position, transportation has to be available to them. So it's pretty exciting to be involved in an organization that's providing that service.
Yeah, very cool. Well, we'll look for you at the transfer center. Make sure that you're not behind the wheel of any bus, maybe just riding or waving. But
Yeah, Mike, have you told Pat one of his duties is to grill hot dogs on International Transportation Day?
Okay, guess what? Tri-Transit Week is going to be coming up. I do
Perfect.
believe it's April, but we're still checking the time frame to see if that's going to be the case or not. So we're looking forward to grilling those hot dogs.
We'll certainly invite you guys out for a hot
Would love to
dog
be there.
and a little bit of coverage of that day,
course.
Tri-Transit Day.
Yeah, we look forward to it every year. Popcorn, hot dogs.
Absolutely.
Nice. Great to see you guys.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
for
you,
being
guys.
here.
As well. Thank you.
Mike Brown and Pat O'Dowd from Jackson Area Transportation Authority. Coming up, Tiki Sam. He's on the cover of Jackson Magazine. We'll find out why coming up next.